A long time ago, there was an extraordinarily talented sage. However, he lived alone his entire life and became a drunken ghost, unable to live without alcohol. The world was on the brink of disaster. Knowing that the sage didn't have much time left, a man came to him with a request to turn his soul into a brush. This way, his soul would live on forever. But the sage was only concerned with his bottle of wine. After finishing the wine, the sage rushed to his desk, picked up a brush, and wrote a few lines. Then, his soul transformed into a writing brush. The man tried to put the brush into a bamboo tube, but it wouldn't stay and flew away. The man regretted not knowing when he would see the brush again. In the present day, our main character, Trong H, is a university student. He had to take a boring national language class because he couldn't find another class due to the school's slow internet. He was spinning his pen and not paying attention to the lecture, so the teacher called on him to answer. His answer was so meaningless that another student couldn't stand it and stood up to answer instead. This student then pushed Trong H to apologize to the teacher for disrespecting the lecture and giving a wrong answer that insulted literature. As he was pushed, Trong H resisted, knocking over the teacher's coffee cup and brush. He rushed to grab the cup, but accidentally broke the brush. The brush was the teacher's most cherished possession, and the other student called Trong H a destroyer. He was then taken to the principal by the teacher and the student. Trong H had signed up for this class to boost his GPA and didn't expect to encounter such a dilemma. The teacher was boring and asked many questions. As if that wasn't enough, Trong H had to deal with his classmate Cherna Ha, whom he disliked for looking down on others. Trong H vowed to teach him a lesson. He was taken to the principal's office, where Cherna Ha lied to avoid responsibility and blamed everything on Trong H. The principal cherished a national language teacher, who had returned to teaching after much persuasion, and now this happened. The principal scolded Trong H severely and even suggested he shouldn't take the class anymore. He removed Trong H from the class and noted it in his record. Trong H apologized, hoping for forgiveness, but the national language teacher told him the brush was no ordinary item. It usually appeared at antique markets, but wasn't always available. If he could find a similar brush, the teacher would forgive him. The teacher believed in teaching rather than punishing and wanted Trong H to learn many lessons while searching for the new brush. Trong H could only smile bitterly, knowing it was a difficult challenge. He visited over a dozen antique markets, but couldn't find a brush like the teacher's. He suspected the teacher had set this tough challenge to make him lose both time and grades. Suddenly, Trong H found a stall selling brushes at a market. He went to check, but didn't see any that resembled the teacher's brush. Despite the shop owner's continuous promotion, Trong H wasn't interested. Suddenly, he saw Cherna Ha walking by and abandoned his brush hunt to follow him. Trong H followed Cherna Ha to another antique shop, where Cherna Ha asked the owner to help him find a rare brush like the teacher's. Trong H knew Cherna Ha was trying to win the teacher's favor, which made him furious. After waiting for a while, the shop owner said he had found the location of a brush similar to the teacher's. Cherna Ha was smug, thinking he would get it, but Trong H rushed to the location first. When he arrived, the antique market was quiet and empty. He entered and met a cute girl, who made him fall in love at first sight. Trong H asked about the rare brush, and the girl showed it to him. It looked exactly like the teacher's brush, so Trong H offered to buy it immediately, but the girl refused, saying she wanted to wait for her grandfather to return and set the price. Suddenly, a man appeared and said he wanted something from the shop. The girl firmly refused and told him to leave. The angry man snatched the pen from the girl's hand and threw it away. Trong Ha quickly cut the pen. The man was determined to get what he wanted and refused to leave without it. He even tried to hit the girl, but Trong Ha intervened just in time. The man unleashed his magic, blowing away everything in the shop. Trong Ha shielded the girl while the man brazenly entered to take the item he wanted. The girl asked Trong Ha to hold the pen while she used her ice magic to attack the man. The more he resisted, the thicker the ice around him became. It turned out that both of their powers came from special brushes. Suddenly, the brush in the man's hand flew towards Trong Ha and stabbed him in the stomach. Then, Trong Ha unexpectedly gained magical abilities and launched several attacks, defeating the man. Afterward, Trong Ha fainted. When he woke up, he found himself on a boat, surrounded by beautiful scenery. Suddenly, a whirlwind appeared and brought him back to reality. Trong Ha woke in the girl's shop with a handkerchief on him. The girl's grandfather had arrived and asked Trong Ha if he felt better. He introduced himself as the shop owner and said the girl was his granddaughter, Xiao Deng. Trung Ha wanted a clear explanation of what had happened. The old man suggested that Trung Ha had fainted because he wasn't used to the shop's gloomy atmosphere. But Trung Ha insisted he remembered everything. He recalled the girl fighting the mysterious man and being stabbed by a brush, which caused him to faint. The old man thought Trung Ha was hallucinating and said he must have dreamt about the girl because he liked her. The old man then asked why Trung Ha had come to the shop. Trung Ha said he wanted to buy a brush and described it. The old man told him that a man named Tren Hoa had already bought it. Trung Ha was angry that the brush had fallen into Tren Ho's hands and left the shop dejected. Seeing his sorrow, the old man gave Trung Ha a valuable brush as compensation. Trung Ha returned to school, constantly thinking about his strange experience. He was sure he had been stabbed by the brush, but had no injuries. However, he now had a more valuable brush. Trung Ha planned to tell his teacher a fabricated story about his difficult search for the brush to gain sympathy and forgiveness. On his way to the teacher's office, he ran into Tren Hoa, who confidently handed the teacher the brush and flattered him, mocking Trung Ha for taking so long. Trung Ha presented his brush to the teacher, who was amazed at first sight and immediately started writing with it, praising its quality. Tren Hoa asked what made this brush better than the one he brought. The teacher recited a few lines of poetry, prompting Tren Hoa to ask again what made it special. Instead of answering directly, the teacher asked both of them the same question. Tren Hoa gave his answer based on his knowledge, but Trung Ha's answer was even better, though he didn't know how he knew it, as he was poor in literature. The teacher praised Trung Ha's brush, saying it had a soul, and he could feel it while writing. He commended Trung Ha and forgave him. Later that night, while Trung Ha was playing games at an internet cafe, he saw an advertisement telling him not to waste his talent. He realized the message was written in ancient script. As he pondered why he could read it, a gang of thugs armed with weapons threatened the cafe owner, Nan Chin. Trung Ha skillfully fought them off, surprising Nan Chin with his abilities. Trung H expressed his deep gratitude for the kind treatment he received from the shop owner and wanted to form a bond with Nan Chin. After a brief fight, both were exhausted. As Trung H struggled, a sudden surge of power propelled him into the air at incredible speed. He was startled, not understanding what was happening. Unable to defeat Trung H, the thugs turned their attention to Nan Chin. Trung H immediately rushed in, delivering a flurry of punches to each thug's face, scaring them off. Nan Chin was also surprised by Trung H's impressive skills. Although Nan Chin proposed a match, Trung H declined, feeling too tired and needing rest. This incident confirmed for Trung H that he wasn't delusional. His newfound ability to read ancient texts and his enhanced combat skills were real, filling him with excitement. He marveled at the miraculous occurrences in real life, thinking about a new name for himself, but decided to take a nap first. In his dream, Trung H woke up in a strange place with an old man reciting poetry nearby. As the old man approached, Trung H suddenly woke up, shut down his computer, and headed home, determined to return to the antique shop for answers. Suddenly, he heard someone call his name. Turning around, he saw a strange monster behind him. Terrified, he ran but was quickly caught and pinned to the ground. He tried to awaken his inner strength, but failed. Just as he thought it was the end, the monster was enveloped in ice and snow. Overjoyed at his survival, Trung H realized that his savior was too dumb. She angrily demanded the pen, upset that he had given it to his teacher. After venting her anger on the monster and killing it, Trung H found himself even more attracted to her. They returned to the antique shop, where he learned about the person capable of crafting the magical pen. The old man explained that the monster was a puppet created by a magical pen and that the pen he had given Trung H was its nemesis. He had gifted it to Trung H to protect his life, but Trung H had inadvertently given it away. If Tiu Dung, the old man's granddaughter, hadn't arrived in time, Trung H might have died. Trung H protested, feeling deceived. As an ordinary person, the old man advised him to forget everything and return to his normal life. Trung H felt ashamed, thinking the old man underestimated him. Clearly, his granddaughter had needed his help to survive the previous day. Believing he should take on the corresponding responsibilities now that he had this power, he was about to argue when the old man insisted he listen first. The story began with the original owner of the magical pens, a small-time merchant who, heartbroken by the suffering caused by widespread war, sought to preserve the talents of the land by turning the souls of the talented into pens. The pen given to Trung H was known as Li Bai, named after a famous poet. However, The power within Trong H's pen was only a fraction of its true potential. Suddenly, a spirit appeared behind Trong H, and the old man engaged it in battle. The spirit, Li Jiabai, had come seeking revenge for a severely injured man who had been to the shop earlier. Tiu Dong speculated that he was the one who tried to assassinate Trong H. Li claimed that Trong H's pen belonged to his family, who had created the first 7 legendary pens, and demanded Trong H's life to reclaim it. Tiu Dong urged Trong H to leave so she and the old man could deal with Li. As Li nearly defeated the old man, Trong H's power surged once more, enabling him to defeat Li. The old man advised Trong H not to interfere further, warning that he wasn't a match for Li. How could Trong Ha calmly watch everyone being beaten? Suddenly, Lao Li threw out a red magic rope that wrapped around Trong Ha's neck and lifted him into the air. Just as Lao Li was about to deliver the final blow, Trong Ha's grandfather stepped in and blocked it. The old man unleashed a green power that made Lao Li vanish. It turned out that this was just a clone of Lao Li, not the real him. There were still many challenges ahead, so the old man promised to separate the magic brush from Trong Ha and return him to his peaceful life. But in the meantime, Trong Ha had to learn how to use the magic brush to protect himself and those around him. Trong Ha agreed and thanked the old man for saving his life. To give the old man time to rest, Tiu Dong volunteered to teach Trong Ha how to use the magic brush. The next day, Tiu Dong accompanied Trong Ha to school. Surprising his friends, she took him to the library and told him to memorize all of Li Bai's poems. Seeing Tiu Dong tense, Trong Ha wanted to tell her a joke, but she ignored him. Just then, Tren Ho approached, reciting Li Bai's poems to show off his knowledge. Tren Ho's arrogance annoyed Trong Ha, but he didn't know how to respond. Tren Ho suggested that Tiu Dong was with Trong Ha out of pity and advised her to stay away from him. Seeing Trong Ha humiliated in front of others, Tiu Dong couldn't hold back and started berating Tren Hoa. She called him an empty barrel and advised him to go back to studying ethics to improve his character. Trong Ha was delighted to have Tiu Dong stand up for him. Afterward, she took his hand and led him away. Tren Hoa, humiliated for the first time, was shocked. Meanwhile, Trong Ha was still happy to be defended by the girl he liked. He read Li Bai's book while smiling at his hand like a fool. Even though Trong Ha could now turn the ancient poems into images, he still didn't understand their meaning. Because the magic brush was forged from the souls of different famous artists, their intelligence varied. Typically, they would actively seek out people whose personalities matched theirs. It was unfortunate for Li Bai to encounter someone as ignorant as Trong Ha, preventing the full potential of the magic brush from being realized. Unexpectedly, Tren Ho had eavesdropped on Trong Ha and Tiu Dong's conversation. Tren Ho thought to himself that with his talent, having the magic brush would surely make him famous everywhere. After trying to read Li Bai's poems for a while, Trong Ha felt very sleepy. He asked Tiu Dong if there was a more interesting way to learn, but Tiu Dong believed the best way to connect with Li Bai's magic brush was through his poetry. However, someone as poor a student as Trong Ha could not understand the poems of a genius like Li Bai. Tiu Dong suggested that Trong Ha start with simpler verses, but for now, Trong Ha couldn't study anymore. He wanted to rest. Tiu Dong didn't want to force him but reminded him that if he didn't quickly learn how to use the magic brush, Lao Li would kill him. Trong Ha wanted to ask for help, but Tiu Dong said that Lao Li's power was so great that no one wanted to get involved. Trong Ha felt his current situation was just like in a game. Unfortunately, as soon as he entered the beginner's round, he encountered an experienced adversary. Tiu Dong explained that the abilities of each magic brush are related to the hidden talent within it, so success depended on guessing the origin and characteristics of the brush. But no matter what she said, Trong Ha just wanted to sleep. Seeing Trong Ha's strange behavior, Tiu Dong slapped him to wake him up, then stuffed more knowledge into his head. Not wanting to fall behind, Trong Ha revealed that he knew a little about her magic brush too. These events unfolded because he wanted to understand Tiu Dong better, so he asked her for explanations, and his efforts were rewarded with her smile. Trong H kept writing poems continuously, but one of Tiu Dong's comments made him wake up. She praised the owner of a certain pen and compared Trong H unfavorably to that person, which made him very embarrassed. Trong H asked if those masters had made any contributions to society, or if they kept the magical pen for their personal desires. He suggested that this might be why Li Bai's pen got lost. Right after he spoke, a strong energy emerged, and a tear flew out of him, making him overjoyed because he finally connected with Li Bai's pen. But Qiaodong said this was just the beginning, and he still had much to learn. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi called his uncle, asking him to contact a woman named Tian, who seemed very knowledgeable in the field he needed help with. That evening, the dormitory once again felt jealous and angry when Trong H brought a girl back to his room. Qiaodong wanted to know his room number to keep track of him, but her request shocked the other male students around them. Feeling awkward, Trong H took Qiaodong to Nan Chin's internet cafe, telling her that this was the person he liked. Nan Chin arranged for them to sit next to each other. Trong H noticed Qiaodong only knew how to browse the web and seemed a bit bored. But Qiaodong had only trained from a young age and wasn't good at these things. Being a young gamer, Trong H decided to teach her how to play, and they played many games together. Qiaodong found the game easier than controlling the magical pen and insisted that since she had learned to play, Trong H should seriously learn from her as well. After learning that reading more poetry would help him transform more, Trong H dived into reading a lot, but soon fell asleep. In his dream, he met the strange old man again, and when he opened his eyes, he saw Qiaodong sleeping too. Nan Chin thought that someone like Qiaodong wasn't suited for an internet cafe and advised Trong H to think of more dating ideas. Trong H thanked his thoughtful friend and then watched Qiaodong sleep. He thought about finishing the magical pen control course quickly to protect himself, not wanting Qiaodong to struggle with him forever. He immediately contacted his teacher to borrow the pen again, only to find out that Zhang He had already borrowed it. Hearing Zhang He's name made Trong H very angry, so he decided to go out and resolve things with him. At the same time, he asked the old man to look after Qiaodong. Nan Chin wondered how people in love could leave a girl at an internet cafe in the middle of the night. Trong H went to the shop owner Zhang he had previously found near the antique market. Because it was dark, he accidentally stumbled upon the shop owner lying unconscious nearby. Trong H thought he was dead, but fortunately, he was still alive. Just as he was about to call for help, the man suddenly woke up and called for help. Trong H felt a sharp pain in his chest. The magical pen was warning him about something. He decided to turn off his phone and check the situation. He discovered a strange woman harming Zhang He. She thought Zhang He should be happy to become her puppet, seeing that he still had time to save Zhang He. Despite their differences, Trong H couldn't stand by and do nothing. He decided to ask Qiaodong for help, but feared she might not make it in time. If he rushed in now, it would be like throwing himself into the lion's den. Not knowing what to do, Trong Ha suddenly had an idea. He boldly stood at the door and called her outside, expressing anger that she had dared to mess with his family, mistaking her for an outsider, unaware of the truth. He confidently approached Tren Hoa. Seeing her fall into his trap, Trong Ha smiled triumphantly. She appeared terrified, begging for mercy. Trong Ha then demanded she release Tren Hoa and cooperate willingly, promising to speak well of her to Lao Lai. However, this statement exposed him. He tried to escape, but couldn't break free from the chains she had created. The chains drained his energy, making escape impossible. She revealed that Lao Lai was not the boss, and that she would punish him for lying. Trong Ha realized he had underestimated this woman. Her chains could communicate with the five senses and control human nerves, subjecting him to sensations of pain, fatigue, and numbness. After torturing him for a while, she grew bored and decided to end his life, wrapping the final chain around his neck and choking him. Just as Trong Ha was about to lose consciousness, he remembered a death poem he had heard in a dream. He recited the poem aloud, creating a shockwave that blew her away. He then recited another poem, producing a purple smoke that attacked her. Despite her attempts to fight back, it was futile. He generated a massive wave to engulf her, but she disappeared, leaving behind the mystical pen that Tren Hoa had brought. Tren Hoa was freed and returned to the internet cave. Qiaodong demanded Nan Chen reveal Trong Ha's location, but he truly didn't know. Just then, Trong Ha returned with Tren Hoa. In his haste to tend to Tren Ho's injuries, he dropped the pen he had found. Tren Hoa was in a zombie-like state. After Trong Ha recounted the events, Qiaodong examined Tren Hoa, finding that only his brain had undergone severe transformation. She could only slow the transformation process, not reverse it. At that moment, Tren Ho's father burst in, ordering his men to take Tren Hoa to the hospital. He thanked Trong Ha for saving his son and gave him some money before leaving. Qiaodong praised Trong Ha for resonating with the mystical pen, but warned him to choose his poems carefully to avoid adverse effects. Realizing he had dropped the pen, he went to search for it. Meanwhile, Nan Chin had found and opened the pen, which then possessed him. Upon waking, Nan Chen immediately asked Trung Ha if he belonged to the Justice League or was a superhero, believing both were part of a secret organization with mysterious powers. Trung Ha thought it was enough to know they were on the good side. They devised a plan to protect Tren Hoa. Suspecting he was being hunted, Tiu Dong wanted to explain, but saving Tren Hoa took priority. They went to the hospital to visit Tren Hoa. Tiu Dong briefly explained the mystical pen to Nan Chen, who then felt the blood of those around him stirring his own. His fingers started to glow, leaving him unsure if this was normal. Uncertain of the pen's abilities, they decided to limit its use for now. Suddenly, a cloud covered the hospital. Recognizing it as the hallucinogenic five-colored pen, Tiu Dong tried to warn the others, but they were already under its spell. Tiu Dong urged them to close their eyes but was soon captured, experiencing her worst nightmares. Fortunately, Trung Ha broke free and helped her snap out of it. Tiu Dong used a shield to block the strange lights and explained the meaning of each color. When her shield was broken, she continuously created ice to hold on. Nan Chen attempted to harness his inner power to release energy, but it had no effect. Trung Ha was beaten, hallucinated, and became agitated out of fear. Nan Chen had to kick him to the ground to snap him out of his hallucinations. Zhao Rong realized their enemy was from the Jia cat family and likely targeting Trung Ha as well. She reinforced the ice wall when the enemy attacked a group of demons and broke through it. Trung Ha asked Nan Chen to recite a Li Bai poem, but he couldn't remember any. Seeing Zhao Rong lit by red lights, Trung Ha rushed to protect her, helping her escape the illusion, but inadvertently exposing her to a demon. The demon threw Trung Ha into Nan Chen. Nan Chen's glowing hand accidentally touched Trung Ha, instantly healing the hole in his body. In his panic, he unintentionally healed all of Zhao Rong's wounds. However, each time he used his power, one of his fingers stopped glowing. Realizing his ability to heal others made Nan Chen much more confident. Trung Ha ordered the fat guy to fight and healed his own wounds to find out who was behind the smoke screen. With just one punch, the enemy surrendered, but Nan Chen didn't intend to let him go that easily. The fat guy took another shot, but Nan Chen blew lightly and sent him flying. Trung Ha demanded the fat guy to surrender, but he seized the chance to grab Nan Chen's hand, unexpectedly triggering Nan Chen's poison ability, which attacked the fat guy. He fled, and the three didn't bother chasing him. Trung Ha felt proud of his brave act to save the beauty, but Zhao Rong warned him not to save her next time. Back at the clinic, Trung Ha saw his national language teacher, who felt guilty for inadvertently endangering Zheng He. The teacher then revealed the pen was made by the Jia cat family and told him its history. He left, asking Nan Chen to watch over Zheng He. Nan Chen tried to use his power to heal Zheng He but was too exhausted. Later, Trung Ha overheard Zhao Rong on the phone, reporting that he had fallen into their trap and was easily manipulated. Confronting her, she calmly stated she had no reason to stay with an idiot like him without a purpose. Zhao Rong's grandfather had planned to use Trung Ha from the start to gain trust and use him as bait. After that day, Trung Ha was furious with Zhao Rong's family. He blamed himself for being too trusting of women. Suddenly, the girl from before, Tenyi, appeared, claiming she was looking for Zheng He, but she also wanted to retrieve a pen she dropped, and Trung Ha told her to ask Old Li. She knew Trung Ha was connected to Zhao Rong's family, but he didn't want anything to do with them anymore. Tenyi, realizing he was alone, happily suggested working together to find the 7 magical pens. Despite her cruelly mocking him for being betrayed by a woman, she offered to heal Zheng He if Trung Ha agreed to help her. Unsure of her motives, but unable to watch his friend die, Trung Ha reluctantly agreed, demanding she heal Zheng He first. Tan Yi led him to the tools needed to save Zheng He. Planning to let her heal Zheng He first and then decide whether to help, he followed her to the car. She rummaged through things, handed him an ink container, then suddenly stunned him with a taser. Realizing he had been tricked, it was too late. While Trung Ha was taken by Tan Yi, Zhao Rong went to visit Zheng He in the hospital. Nan Chen, still in the hospital, wondered where everyone had gone. Unexpectedly, he met Tiu Dong again. Trung H woke up bound by ropes. With his magical pen sealed, he intended to call Nan Chen, but Tian Nai quickly arrived and dragged him away. She threw him to the ground, revealing she had brought him to a temple to take his life. Tian Nai wanted to seize his magical pen, but suddenly her attacks were repelled by a mysterious marble. A monk appeared, revealing that he knew Tian Nai was committing evil and had sent a warrior monk to deal with her. This warrior's martial arts skills were extremely high, making it difficult for Tian Nai to match. During the struggle, Tianai untied Trung H and promised not to harm him if he agreed to help her. However, Trung H, not wanting to be deceived again, decided to support the monk. Before the fight concluded, the young warrior paused, allowing Tianai to retaliate. But the monk insisted that he should not show mercy to people like Tianai. She continued her assault, but used Trung H as a shield, cast a spell on his arm, and fled. The monk used one of his beads to dispel the spell on the boy. He then introduced himself as Peter, stating that the boy was the second novice in the temple. Through the sealing talisman on Trung H, the monk knew he possessed Elbich's magical pen. Peter explained they had no intention of harming Trung H. Although he was skeptical, the monk disabled Trung H's abilities by interrupting his poetry recitation, clarifying that he only wanted to learn more about Trung H's powers and discuss some matters. Specifically, he mentioned that the pen would soon play a role in opening the pen's tomb, adding that Tia Yudong's family was facing inheritance issues. Her family had long betrayed each other, leading to many disputes. Tia Yudong's grandfather started it all, but then disappeared. Suddenly, someone appeared, and the second novice had to deal with them. It turned out to be Nan Chin, who had hurried there thanks to Trung H's earlier phone call. Peter then told Nan Chin about the history of the pen he was holding. Suddenly, they noticed someone else approaching, prompting Peter to use magic to help the group hide. The newcomer was the person who had previously attacked Xiaodong's store, bringing others to exploit the negative atmosphere of the place to easily steal the pen. Just as he was about to attack, Trung H's group emerged to stop him. Surprised to see his previous adversary, he was delighted to get 2 of the 7 magical pens at once. Trung H tried to use magic to counter, but was too slow, so the second novice had to jump into fight. Peter, knowing his own abilities were limited and distracted, struggled to avoid using magic. The attacker used magic to fight the second novice, forcing Peter to shield him. Trung H was astonished that both could fight so well without magical pens. The second novice charged forward, and, when the enemy used magic, he retreated behind Peter's barrier. Annoyed by this tactic, the attacker used a powerful move to break through the barrier, pushing Peter back. Nan Chin was still recovering, so Peter had to use his entire bead string as a shield. Despite the strong defense, the attacker broke through and prevented anyone from escaping. The second novice dodged the attack, but fell. Trung H was captured, prompting Nan Chin to intervene, but was pushed aside. The attacker then cornered Trung H, holding a knife to him. The person he had brought for help was stabbed before he approached Trung H. Seeing one of his fingers had recovered, Nan Chin planned to use it to defeat the attacker, but ultimately chose to save Trung H first. The thief quickly snatched the pen from the guy. Nan Chin rushed over, pushing him aside to help Trung Ha, but the other guy threw Trung Ha away and grabbed Nan Chin by the head. Nan Chin tried to stab him with his finger but hit a pen holder instead, sending the pen flying. Trung Ha realized that Nan Chin's ability was to reverse time, not heal or poison. The guy pulled Trung Ha closer, intending to attack, but Trung Ha resisted, causing the attack to hit the pen. The pen unexpectedly flew towards Trung Ha and merged with him. He now had a new power and released a dragon aimed at the guy. The guy managed to escape, and this time Trung Ha's group luckily got away. In reality, Trung Ha used Light Box Pen to trick him, not knowing how to use it himself. He never expected someone to kill for the pen and disregard the law like that. Peter realized that the 2 pens had merged inside Trung Ha. The problem was that Trung Ha didn't want people targeting him just to steal the magical pen. Peter said he should be happy because no one had ever been able to absorb 2 magical pens at once. The last person who did that died suddenly. Suddenly, Nan Chin remembered that Tiu Dong had given him something. It detailed how to return the pen without causing death. Peter borrowed it to read and said it had something to do with a tombstone, and they might need to meet the official head of the Vai family. Only Tiu Dong's family could understand those words. Trung Ha didn't want to meet Tiu Dong again, fearing she would trick him again, so he followed Peter. They then split up. Nan Chin and the second monk went to gather information, while the monk and Trung Ha went to see the Vai family head for information written on the paper. Afterward, they went to a scenic spot that Peter said was established by the Vai family. They met an acquaintance of Peter, who helped them meet the clan leader. When Trung Ha met him, he was shocked to learn that Peter was the Vai family's eldest son. The clan leader was surprised because Trung Ha was a rare case of someone holding 2 pens in one body. So, he decided to keep Trung Ha to develop his potential. But Trung Ha refused, and Peter thought Trung Ha only wanted to return the pen for safety. The clan leader then tied both of them up, believing Trung Ha was a rare case and not wanting him to fall into anyone else's hands, intending to keep him to strengthen the Vi family. The man who had brought Peter there thought it was better to discard the magical pens and focus on wealth. Because of the magical pens, one of his sons had become a monk, and another was missing. The man still believed that since Trung Ha was a target of many factions, it was best to let him leave to avoid affecting the Vi family. He then returned and released both of them, telling them to solve their problem on their own. He wanted to apologize by teaching Trung Ha how to use the new pen. This pen could predict the future, and if he got lost, he should use it. Trung Ha tried it and found it dropped a feather. The man said that using this pen would drain the owner's vitality, so he should avoid overusing it. Then, the pen wrote a poem for him. The pen showed him the direction to go, but the tasks to be done were for him to decide. Trung Ha felt like he was wasting his life without gaining anything useful. But Peter thought that since the pen wrote that way, Trung Ha's choice about the pen was correct, though he still didn't know how. Suddenly, the clan leader had a seizure and passed away. Peter realized the pen inside his father had disappeared, and he was truly gone. Suddenly, a servant saw and misunderstood that the two had killed the clan leader and went to inform everyone around. Peter knew they had been tricked. When others arrived, they couldn't find Peter and Trung Ha, so they locked down the entire area. Trung Ha and Peter had arrived at Thantong. Peter was here to see the family altar one last time and to guide Trung Ha to a secret passage. Peter opened a hidden path leading to a tunnel beneath the house. He led Trung Ha to a place where all the masterless magic brushes that the Vi family had found were stored. Only the clan leader could access this place. They would temporarily hide here to find an escape route. Since Tianai had once stolen a brush and fled from this place, Peter suspected there might be an unknown exit. Trung Ha found a switch that allowed them inside. The walls were covered with writing. Suddenly, Trung Ha shone a light on two brushes in the room, causing two demons to appear. These brushes reacted to the light, likely as an anti-theft measure. Peter knew the demons were very sensitive to sound, so Trung Ha created a loud noise, rendering the demons powerless and turning them back into brushes. He then pulled out a brush and asked Peter what he thought of his actions. Peter suddenly realized something from Trung Ha's words, rearranged the words, and discovered another way out. He tried pushing a stone table aside and found a passage leading down. They went to the brush storage room, and Trung Ha thought Peter should take one, but Peter only wanted to discard the brushes, not take more. They then noticed sword marks inside, indicating a fight had occurred. It seemed Tianai had tried to escape earlier, using a sword to find an exit. There were many sword marks on one wall, so Trung Ha used magic to break it, revealing a way out. They escaped through this path. Trung Ha would join Nan Chin's group, and Peter would investigate his father's death. They parted ways here. Trung Ha later rejoined Nan Chin's group and stayed the night. He used his prophetic abilities to find a way to return the brush, but to no avail. Thinking about Chiayudong, Nan Chin advised him not to worry too much about women, reminding him he still had his brother and the second monk to help. They decided to keep what happened with Peter a secret from the second monk. Meanwhile, some strangers targeted Trung Ha as soon as they saw him holding the prophetic brush. The next morning, Trung Ha's group arrived at a temple with a tomb named MBT. Upon arrival, Trung Ha suddenly felt a headache and saw an image of a demon. Suddenly, an attacker appeared, luring the second monk away. A girl appeared, targeting Trung Ha. A third person showed up, saying they were looking for someone with the surname TRNG. However, Nan Chin insisted that Trung Ha's surname was Law, and then suddenly, Trung Ha was trapped in a barrier, turning into a spirit brush. This person had tricked Nan Chin into revealing Trung Ha's surname to trap him. To escape, he had to fight this person. Meanwhile, outside, Trung Ha was continuously attacked by the girl. No matter where he hid, she found him, and her power could even shatter stone. He created a sword and charged, but it broke while blocking an attack. He then made armor, which only withstood 2 hits before shattering. So, he created smoke to obscure her vision, but she used a magic brush to find his position. Trung Ha tried to counterattack, but she pushed him back. Trung Ha summoned a dragon with his magic, but she threw a spear, cutting the dragon in half and causing him to fall. He noticed that her pen had the ability to enlarge objects. Meanwhile, Nan Chin used his singing ability to attack the enemy, forcing him to concede. Just then, Trung Ha was about to create a sword in retaliation, but unexpectedly, she struck the grave pen, releasing the demon Trung Ha had seen when he first arrived. The demon immediately attacked, targeting the girl. the prophetic pen suddenly escaped and instinctively pulled Trung Ha to save her. Instead of being grateful, she slapped him, leaving him confused. However, she teared up when she looked at the prophetic pen. The bespectacled man rushed over to pull the girl away, while Trung Ha and Nan Chen wanted to go find the second monk. The group tried to escape, but was chased by several demon heads. After a loop, they found themselves back where the demon realized it couldn't escape, as more demon heads would drive them back. The group temporarily hid in a corner to think of a solution. The bespectacled man decided to cooperate with Trung Ha, transferring his pen's power to Trung Ha's prophetic pen. Meanwhile, the girl figured out how to transfer her power and realized the prophetic pen had other abilities. Suddenly, the demon began absorbing all the resentment around and transformed into a demon monk. The bespectacled man recognized this monk. Long ago, the monk was given a collection of poems by a Zen master. Emperor Taizong had repeatedly asked for the book, but the monk lied, saying it was destroyed in the war. Soon after, a scholar came to the temple and became good friends with the monk. Trusting him, the monk showed the poems, but the scholar, sent by Taizong, stole them. Filled with resentment, the monk eventually turned into a demon. But now, knowing this, they couldn't hold out any longer. Suddenly, Nan Chen noticed the prophetic pen pointing directly at the grave pen, so they decided to destroy the grave marker to see if anything would change. The only one capable of doing this was the girl. The group had to fight their way to the grave pen, with Nan Chen following and healing them as much as possible. Trung Ha, Nan Chen, and the girl moved forward, with Nan Chen continuously healing until he had only one chance left. He chose to use it on the girl, giving her the strength to break the grave pen. But the negative energy remained because the monk's urn was still intact. She apologized for her misdeed and threw a knife at it, causing the negative energy to explode. However, many beams of light began to shine and flew into a nearby lake. A magical pen rose from the lake, and Li Bai's pen also broke free, rising to absorb the magical pen above. The pen wrote a poem that began to affect the monk. He was able to let go of his resentment and find peace. Just then, Saiyang's grandfather arrived to take the new pen. Saiyang told Trung Ha that her grandfather had deliberately arranged for him to be there because only his Li Bai pen could absorb the other pen. Realizing he had been deceived again, Trung Ha decided to keep Li Bai's pen safe to do good deeds in the future. Even when Saiyang came to help, Trung Ha chased her away, deciding never to trust her again. Saiyang had no choice but to leave, and a young man with the mark of Zhujiang, Chang Kang, arrived. He had been frozen outside by Saiyang's grandfather and now planned to attack Nan Chen and Trung Ha to take the magical pen. But since they had no container for the pen, they decided to take both back to the Zhuge house. Upon returning, the girl and Chang Kang were annoyed that the clan leader still forbade them from killing Trung Ha and Nan Chen to take the pen. Chang Kang didn't want to let them live, fearing his secret of previously attempting to kill to obtain the pen at the temple would be exposed, so he plotted to kill them. However, when he arrived, he found the girl, that Q, had already killed both. She did this to avenge her teacher, who had been murdered by Chang Kang before. After some conversation, that Q sensed something off in Chang Kang's words. He then revealed that he was the one who had killed her teacher. Trung Ha and Nan Chen stood up, as the scene had been orchestrated to force him to confess his crimes. Previously, while being tied up, Trung Ha had confessed the truth about Chang Kang, but no one believed him, so he used the prophetic pen to point it out. The pen dictated that you had to die, and that's why this plan was devised. When Trung Kang was interrogated, the butler used his power to extract the pen. This method would damage his spirit and force him to reveal information, but he stubbornly refused. Suddenly, his eyes turned bloodshot, and he died. Nan Chen tried to use his abilities to save him, but failed. The butler realized someone had sealed him to prevent him from disclosing the mastermind. If the spell was this strong, it would weaken Nan Chen's powers. He apologized for the misunderstanding and thanked him for saving her at the pen's grave. The butler then wanted to take Trung Ha to meet the Jacat clan leader. When they met, he was surprised that the person was quite young. No wonder his previous lie was exposed in front of Tan Engi. He invited him to sit and talk. He got straight to the point. If Trung Ha wanted to retrieve his pen, he still didn't know how, so he advised him to go to the other pen's grave and try his luck. But he warned him to be cautious of a faction known as Quan Mo Pen, as they had become corrupt and used a method to refine pens using living people. This method failed, turning those used into demons serving their master. The Vi and Jacat families had once collaborated against them but couldn't completely eradicate them. He suspected that Tudong's grandfather, who caused trouble for the Vi family, was somehow connected to this man. No one knew if they had more sinister plans. Meanwhile, Vi noticed Tudong was still angry with him. He admitted he didn't have much time left and promised not to scheme against Trung Ha anymore. In the following days, Trung Ha and Nan Chin were invited to stay as guests at the Jacat house. They were taken on tours, played golf with her, and even dined with the clan leader. Despite their enjoyment, they still felt uneasy because it seemed like they were being imprisoned, with restrictions on going out. One evening, Peter announced he had a lead on retrieving the pen and arranged a meeting with Trung Ha, advising him to leave the Jacat house early. Thap Q overheard and decided to help because other traders were also headed to Peter's meeting point. She wanted to deal with them, so she helped both of them escape. She led them to the back door, where there were few guards, but a chef blocked their way. He let them out, but they immediately found themselves back inside. Each time they tried, they were somehow redirected, so they realized the chef was doing something. Nan Chin rushed to punch him, but hit the wall instead. They discovered that every time the chef stomped his foot, it rotated his body 180 degrees. They then split into 3 directions. The chef moved them to a 90-degree angle. But when he noticed one missing, Nan Chin struck him from behind. They took a train and a taxi to the meeting point. Suddenly, the hospital called, informing them that Peter was in emergency care. Since the driver had an appointment at the meeting point, Thap Q and Nan Chin went to investigate, while Trung Ha went to check on Peter. He met Peter at the hospital. When Peter woke up, he explained his investigation, revealing that his uncle had conspired to kill his father to seize family power. Further investigation revealed the family was involved and even cooperated with a third party. Trung Ha knew that the Jacat family members Peter mentioned were all traitors. When Peter arrived at the meeting point to investigate, he was ambushed and severely injured. The attackers were incredibly powerful, making Trung Ha worried about Thap Q and Nan Chin. Realizing the Jacat family had sent people to deal with the traitors, who had all been killed there, Thap Q was determined to avenge her comrades, so she and Nan Chin ventured deeper. Trung Ha called Nan Chin to warn him, but he didn't notice the call, making Trung Ha worry they were venturing too far. Hiding in a corner, they saw the butler and the bespectacled man confronting 2 Jacat family traitors, the one using the 5-colored pen from before and another traitor. These 2 wanted the butler to join them, but he refused. Trung Ha asked Peter about the traitors' dangerous abilities, and he said they were like monsters. Nan Chin suddenly realized that the monster was Trina Ha. The man holding the 5-colored pen felt terrified as the butler began to move. He let Trina Ha charge forward to attack, causing the butler to be thrown into a corner. Then, using his powers, he restrained Trina Ha, threw him into the air, and slammed him down. While attacking, he tried to figure out who was controlling Trina Ha. He spotted the thread leading to the man with the 5-colored pen and rushed towards him. But the man made Trina Ha resume the assault. When THBCU wanted to intervene, Nan Chin stopped her, advising her to have a clear plan before taking action. The man with the 5-colored pen deliberately left an opening to lure the butler in. At this point, he injected more dark magic into Trina Ha, causing him to transform even further. Although the butler managed to fend off Trina Ha using his skills, the man accompanying them transformed into a demon and attacked the butler. THBCU and Nan Chin were forced to step in. Before they could reach the butler, the man with the 5-colored pen threatened them both. THBCU used the pen's power to create a piercing sound, and Nan Chin seized the opportunity to rush at the man, causing him to cough up blood. Nan Chin tried to help the butler, but Trina Ha pushed him away and targeted him. Meanwhile, THBCU had to deal with the pen demon, and both she and Nan Chin were soon overpowered. Nan Chin managed to heal the butler, and THBCU just in time. At that moment, Trung Ha arrived and recognized the pen demon. It was LOL, whom Vi had deceived him into believing was the head of the Jacat family. Trung Ha realized that Vi must be nearby. Angered that they had dragged an ordinary person like Trina Ha into this mess, he prepared to fight, but LOL used magic to drain the life force of the 3 others. If Trung Ha didn't hand over the 2 pens, the 3 would die. Unsure how to return the pens, Trung Ha was told by LOL that this place used to be the pen tomb, destroyed in the war. However, the creator of the tomb had drawn 4 dragons to guard it. These 4 dragons were the 4 green stone pillars behind the palace. He had to draw ice for them to reopen the tomb. Unsure if LOL would spare the 3 once he got the pens, Trung Ha had no choice but to comply. As he was about to leave, the man with the 5-colored pen attempted to harm the three, prompting Trung H to fight back. Unable to resist, he was deemed pathetic for being deceived time and again. Knowing he couldn't act rashly and endanger the three unconscious people, he followed them to the 4 stone pillars. He then drew eyes on all 4 dragons, successfully freeing them. They created a large magical formation and opened a portal. Trung H stepped through and entered a mystical land. The people outside assumed he would die there and planned to take the pens and kill the 3 when the time came. Inside, Trung H was surrounded by the 4 dragons, but a monk emerged to welcome him. The monk revealed that he had created the pen tomb but was not the original creator, merely a spirit residing there. He invited Trung H inside and offered him a drink that healed all his wounds. Trung H explained that the 2 outside had tricked him into facing the 4 dragons on their behalf. The monk assured him that the dragons had long guarded this place and that Trung H was the only one they and the monk had allowed to enter. You want to ask the master for a 3rd pen to deal with them and save people. He believes that having 2 pens in one body is already unstable, so if you have a 3rd pen, you will have to sacrifice your life. You are willing to pay the price if it means saving 3 people out there. But the monk says there are no magic pens here. He lived his life freely, and when he was about to die, the owner of the grave pen came to force his soul into it. However, he refused and sent his spirit here. You realize this is just a place for him to find peace, not the actual grave pen. You notice that Li Bai's poetry is also written here. If you understand the poems, you will grasp the true power of Li Bai's pen. So you begged the monk for help. The guy with the 5-colored pen outside got bored and decided to mess with Shiji a bit, but he was chased away by Yan Zheng. In fact, Zhang Zai had previously given a rosary to Peter as a talisman. Knowing he couldn't defeat the opponent with his own abilities, he handed him over to Yan Zheng, who had a chance of winning. He quickly treated the other 2 and bought time for Zhang Zai. Hoitu has a way to help him gain the true power of Li Bai's pen. He would merge with his body and impart knowledge to him. But if he disappears, this illusion will vanish, and the chance to return the pen safely will be lost. Now, you have 2 paths. Fight the remaining 2 enemies, or find a way to safely escape the magic pen. Zhang Zai wants to do both. Outside, the 3 have split up to fight. Shiji is dealing with Zhang Yi. Yan Zheng is battling Lao Li, and the butler is handling the 5-colored pen guy. The butler gains the upper hand by trapping the 5-colored pen guy to fight. But Yan Zheng loses to Lao Li. He is to pick up dirt and throw it at the old man's face, making him, wearing a demon mask, charge and attack him. Yan Zheng gets hit in one arm and is affected by demonic energy. Lao Li then targets the butler, but Yan Zheng helps, forcing the group to gather in one place. Zhang Qi escapes the illusion. Lao Li realizes he forgot the connection between Hoitu and Li Bai and attacks before Zhang Zai can strike. But he starts reciting poetry, creating a Li Bai. Wherever Li Bai points his pen, the 3 are pushed back. Zhang He is controlled by Li Bai and then faints. The other 2 attack simultaneously, but Li Bai draws a dragon to block all their attacks and then strikes back. Zhang Zai then writes a poem that surrounds both enemies and hits them in the middle. He wins and remembers the promise to Hoitu. Now, he needs Hoitu's knowledge to fight and, eventually, help Yan Zheng increase his reversing ability and return the pen. He sees his friends are safe. Yan Zheng has just recovered finger, so he uses it right away. He then interrogates Lao Li about his master. He can't speak because he will die, but suddenly he appears in a state similar to the Vai clan leader before death. The guy with the 5-colored pen runs away while Lao Li can only utter the name of his master, Hem Trong. You remember hearing your language teacher mention this name when visiting Zheng He in the hospital. You then suspect the whole thing was planned by your teacher from the beginning. Asking you to find the pen was the first step of that plan. Part 1 of the movie ends here. Thank you for watching.